So good morning everyone. Today I'll be presenting my free paper on modified MIOCT guided management of submacular bleed in cases of polypoidal choroidal vasculopathy. This is a novel study in Indian settings. So as we all know, submacular hemorrhage is accumulation of blood between the RP and the neurosensory retina or under the RP, and there are various causes which can be various listed like AMD, PCV, myopia, and they can cause significant vision loss if not treated in time because of shearing effect on the photoreceptors by the contraction of fibrin or due to iron related toxicity or due to macular scar or progression of BVN. So there have been various literature published on the management of submacular hemorrhage, which involves pneumatic displacement, fibrinolysis, anti-VEGF agents. And so we know that in PCV, it's more common in Asian ancestry as compared to AMD, and we have seen more of PCV eyes in our setup, and these are very prone to recurrent and massive subretinal and sub-RP hemorrhage. So we tried to conduct this study because various techniques have been described in the literature for the management of submacular hemorrhage, but the surgical management in PCV eyes needs to be extensively studied. And with the advent of microscope integrated intraoperative optical coherence tomography, real-time imaging is available, which can result in better clinical judgments. So we've actually modified the previous techniques of subretinal TPA injection. So we used a cocktail. We first did pars plana vitrectomy, followed by submacular injection of cocktail of recombinant TPA, which is to liquefy the clot. Then bevacizumab. This bevacizumab is used to prevent rebleeds and to treat the branch vascular network, and air. So air is used to for pneumatic displacement of the blood subretinally. So we normally do artificial detachment using 41 gauge translocation needle, and then we inject this cocktail. Then at the end of the surgery, gas tamponade is given using short-term tamponade using 18% SF6 gas, and post-operatively propped up positioning was advised. So this is a sample surgery. So we did core vitrectomy for a large submacular hemorrhage involving the center of the fovea in a case of polypoidal choroidal vasculopathy, induced the PVD using tricot. Then we did the core vitrectomy, removing the vitreous. After that, we use MIOCT to detect the area of the largest hemorrhage, the height, the area where the height of the hemorrhage is largest, and the areas of suspected PED, because it is these areas of PED are to be avoided for subretinal injection. Then, based on that location, we started injecting the cocktail. First, there will be TPA followed by Avastin, and you see the the bleed is getting displaced using artificial detachment, and at the end 0.3 ml air was injected subretinally to displace the bleed from the fovea. So the basic aim was to just displace the bleed from the fovea, and the retinotomy is self-sealing because it's made of 41 gauge, and then fluid air exchange was performed and gas tamponade was given using 18% SF6 gas. So we obtained very encouraging results because these patients often do not tend to improve with intravitreal TPA and anti-VEGF therapy. Also, after intravitreal therapy, some prone position is usually advised, but in our technique, propped up position is advised, and we directly tackle the subretinal pathology. We directly displace the bleed towards the inferior arcade, and we have got some good results. So this is one case showing large submacular hemorrhage involving till the vascular arcades, and post-operatively you can see there is complete resolution of bleed. But the choroid is still thickened because it's a pachychoroid syndrome, and there is a good gain of visual acuity from finger counting to 6-9 at 6 months. So we did a prospective interventional study. We included 20 eyes of 20 patients, and we followed them till for 6 months. Most of the patients were old, and most of them had hemorrhage extending to vascular arcade. Center of fovea was involved, and baseline visual acuity was very poor. So at the end of 6 months, we could assess that complete displacement of hemorrhage from macula and resolution of bleed was achieved in all the cases, and there was a significant improvement of BCVA. So at the baseline BCVA was around finger counting or hand movement close to face, which turns out to be 1.64 logmar units, and at the end of 6 months it improved to 0.82 logmar units, which is around 624, and the p value is significant in all intervals. Also, the average time of resolution of bleed is around 7.6 weeks, which is pretty recent. In our case series, we have got two cases have developed breakthrough vitreous hemorrhage because of large amount of because of large amount of pre-existing subretinal bleed, but they also recovered with propped up position and conservative management. So at the end, I would like to conclude that favorable outcomes can be achieved by initiation of PPV with subretinal injection of cocktail of TPA, Avastin, and air due to effective displacement of bleed. At the same time, it also helps in simultaneous treatment of underlying pathology. And role of IOCT is immense in these cases, as this can help in deciding the area of injection, avoiding any areas of pigment epithelial detachment, and in aiding in precise delivery of drug to the subretinal space. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, Dr. Agarwal, a very nice presentation and study.
Thank you, sir.
I just have a couple of questions. One is, why did you choose 2.5 milligrams as the dose for Avastin? Intravitreally, we give 1.25. So is there any reason you doubled the dose for a subretinal administration?
Sir, actually, we published a similar series 4 years back in cases of neovascular AMD. And when we used zero point 0.1 ml of zero point 0.1 ml routine dose of Avastin, we have to inject post-operatively in cases because
0.05
of
ml, you mean?
yes, 0.05 ml, 0.05 ml routine dose. Then we have to inject in post-operatively because the vascular network was not completely regressed. So we added the dose to 2.5 mg, 0.1 ml, and then we obtained some good results in that because of regression of CNVM complex. So we tried to carry out the same concentration in this, and we hope and we got good results. Most of our patients didn't require any future injections also, despite having PCV. So BVN complex was effectively tackled using 2.5 milligram dose, and future studies dose comparison can be done for subretinal injection doses.
That was going to be my second question as to what was your rate of recurrence and whether you had to do repetitive treatment after.
Sir, actually, in our series, we were pretty lucky. We didn't encounter future anti-VEGF injections, maybe due to the increased concentration of anti-VEGF which we injected at the first time. But two of our patients developed post-operative vitreous hemorrhage due to breakthrough bleed, and that got resolved with conservative management. In those cases, we injected injection Avastin, just injection anti-VEGF, just to expedite the resolution of bleed.
Just one quick question. Did you take a special consent when you were injecting double the dose?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. The trial is CTRA approved, and we obtained all the required consents, ma'am. And there is no evidence of toxicity. The visual acuity improved from finger counting to 624 in nearly every case, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If time permits, can I ask a question?
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you prefer to go on the superior part of macula with your retinotomy or the inferior? Was there a preference to that?
Ma'am, actually, previously, when we didn't use IOCT, we used to inject superior temporally because that area is quite that was our preferred approach. But using IOCT, or using pre-op OCT, if SSOCT could pick up areas of PED, we avoided areas of PED and then choose the area which is having maximum height of subretinal bleed. So that aided to our effective displacement of bleed.
Very good. Thank you.